Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm so glad you're here. Woo! It is another week. It's going to be a different week than normal. I'll be talking about that later on in the Tom Thinks section. But I do want to point out that this episode is sponsored by Pandasaurus. Tammany Hall is out this week. Do you like to backstab your friends? I do. Well, in a game. That's not outside the game. Okay, but in a game. And this is the second edition of a very, very backstabby game. We're giving out 3 copies of it to people in North America. To enter this, all you have to do is email us at contest@dicetower.com. Put the word backstab, that's one word, as your subject line, and your address in the description, and we'll pick 3 winners for that. That's Tammany Hall from Pandasaurus Games. I'm excited. I'm feeling good. I'm a year older. Thank you to everyone who's a happy birthday. Very nice of you all. But enough about age. Let's get to gaming. Here we go! So as we continue our look at games that came out 30 years ago, in 1990, today we're talking about Where's Bob's Hat? Here's Bob's Hat! No, okay, that's not it. Where's Bob's Hat is a trick-taking game. It's one of the lighter trick-taking games that are out there. There's only 3 suits in the game, and there's also a Bob's Hat, and there are some weird hats. But in this game, at the beginning of each round, you are determining whether you will take the most of a certain color or not. If so, you're going to get points, plus a point for each card you take of that color, and you'll lose points if you say you'll take the most, and then you don't. There's also a Bob's Hat in there, which could be bad or good, floating around depending. You play a card, everyone follows suit, there's trump. It's a very straightforward game, but it has that whole idea of, will I win the most? Now, this is not my favorite of this genre. In fact, I just talked about trick-taking games last week. We did our top 10 trick-taking games. Bob's Hat did not make the top 10, but is in my top 20, actually. I think it's a nice, light game. The hat theme, I know you might think, I like hats, and hats theme is okay, but this game has no theme. It's just a trick-taking game. That being said, it certainly is a fun little one, and the fact that it's 30 years old and still doing strong is something to talk about. So check it out. That's Where's Bob's Hat, our game from 30 years ago.
Hi everybody.
Hello, we are Ryan and Bethany.
From Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
Today we are talking about Merchants of Infinity! Alright, so this game is all about gathering resources in space. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be placing these meeples. It's a worker placement game, gathering the resources, and then there's a bunch of different ways to sell those resources, whether through contracts or individually a la carte selling them at the market. Or shoot, you can even just put them in this big melting pot thing, blend them all together, make some money that way too.
So I thought this game was kind of unique in the sense that there's actually no resources. There's no bits or anything for it because you can't hold any resources. So wherever you place your person, that's what you get, and it doesn't carry over to the next round. So I thought that was fun, and it also makes it so you don't have to have a ton of stuff in the box. So that's a side note. That's a Bethany note. Let's carry on, guys. Anyway, because of that, I liked that you could only plan for that one turn, and so it wasn't that you had people like Ryan, who were planning out the entire game and then just started it with that first turn. But people like Bethany could just play round around.
That's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
I thought the color palette and the kind of the theming of this game was really interesting. It all takes place in space. There's these kind of this fractal, fractal space that this game is in. So the reality is constantly shifting. So there's an event deck that changes the rules each round, which I thought was pretty cool. There's even a little mini game that you play at the beginning of each round. You're sitting with all these merchants sitting around the space bar playing this game of cards, and that's how you determine the player order before the round even starts. So cool, little thematic touches in there. I thought that was a really nice touch for Merchants of Infinity.
If you'd like to hear more from us, you can also always find us on YouTube and Facebook. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. So everybody, this is Ryan and Bethany, hoping you have a happy, healthy breakfast. Bye,
everybody.
Guys.
This week I'm going to quickly review Bill and Ted Face the Music. I'm a huge Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus. I really like both of them. They are not great movies. In fact, I'd be hard-pressed to say they're good movies, but I still enjoy them. And one of my favorite scenes from any movie is still Bill and Ted playing Battleship and Twister and Clue against death. I find that amusing. I like the characters. Some parts of them have not aged well, and they're stupid fun. Bill and Ted Face the Music is more the same. If you like the originals, you'll like this one. And if you didn't like those, this ain't going to change your mind. I think they did a fantastic job casting their daughters. They were very much like a female version of Bill and Ted, and they came across really well. Goofy fun there. They introduced a new character, a robot assassin character, which was a fun, interesting character that kind of fizzled out at the end, I guess, but for the most part was entertaining throughout it. They brought back Death, although in a much more limited capacity than I thought they would. And you certainly can tell George Carlin is not really in the movie. You briefly see him, but it's, he's dead, so he's not in this movie. And his daughter, her character was and his wife, her character also was but Bill and Ted were funny as you watch them travel throughout time. The historical characters they got were not as fascinating as the first time. Like the first time you remember Beethoven, you remember Genghis Khan and Napoleon. I don't think these characters, while they assembled a pretty cool group of characters, none of them stood out as incredibly funny or really that different from each other. They were kind of like background characters. And yet I still liked it. It's silly, it's dumb, it makes no sense. There's jokes repeated from the first couple, which I appreciated and laughed out loud. My kids didn't get it at all. I would definitely put this as my third favorite of the trio because while it's amusing and interesting, it just, it's the same thing all over again. And the plot line is very, very similar to the second one in many regards. But there you go. This is a movie you went into knowing you were going to like it, or I guess if you weren't going to like it, you weren't going to watch it anyway. But that's Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Hi, I'm Josh from the YouTube channel Josh Yaks, here to once again shine the spotlight on a cool thematic game mechanism. This one is going to come from my very favorite Civilization game, Clash of Cultures, along with the Civilizations expansion that I had a very small hand in helping to develop. The aspect I'm going to focus on today is happiness as a game mechanism. The central focus of a player's civilization is their cities. Cities can be activated to expand in size, to muster new military units, or to gather resources from the nearby countryside. The efficiency with which the actions happen in a city will depend on its mood, whether the city is happy, neutral, or angry. A city with a happy populace will recruit one extra unit or gather one more resource than the same action in a city whose people are neutral in mood. Angry people, however, will do the bare minimum of what is asked of them. They will recruit only one unit or collect just a single resource, and they can't even expand in size at all. The mood of your cities can decrease if you work your people too hard. If you activate a city once during a game turn, all is good. But if you activate a happy city a second time, the city's mood will drop to neutral. If you activate it yet again on the same turn, the populace will become angry. The now angry city could be activated again for its limited effects, but an angry city can never be activated more than once during a turn. Other things that can lower a city's mood include being attacked by barbarians, being conquered by an enemy player, or event cards that cause bad things to happen, such as natural disasters or civil war. On the other hand, a city's mood can be improved when a player uses the civic improvements action to spend collected mood tokens to raise the level of happiness. It's a simple and very clever mechanism to simulate the real-world effects of morale within a civilization. If you're interested in this game, keep an eye out for the new Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition that's due to hit store shelves possibly before the end of this year. Meanwhile, you could put me in a happy mood if you swing by my Josh Yaks YouTube channel and take a minute to say hello to me there. Cheers!
Hi, I'm Ambie, and I like board games, and hey. Oh, Okay, this is just getting ridiculous. Let's go back to the title that I had before. I like it just fine, okay? Alright, so I'm Ambie, and I like board games. And a few months ago, I was talking about some solo print and play games that I'd been playing. And I actually started getting into them because of this challenge on Board Game Geek called the Summer Pythian Games Challenge. And it was a contest over 6 weeks, where each week you would play a solo roll and write game, and everyone would compare their scores. But what was cool about it was that each week there were 2 different games you can choose from. One was a published game that you'll have to own to play it, but the other one was a free print and play game so that everyone could play if they wanted to. So from playing through those games, I discovered a lot of new solo print and play games, and I discovered that there are a lot of print and play games that are free available on Board Game Geek, just from looking at recommendations as I clicked through those games on Board Game Geek. So I thought that was really exciting, finding games that you can play just by printing out sheets of paper for free. And I've been looking for different games that have a low print cost, so just fewer sheets of paper, but then are still fun. And so over the next few weeks, or until I get tired of doing this, I decided I was going to try to talk about some of these free solo print and play games that I've been finding that I like. So maybe we will do something about this title and maybe like add a subtitle or something. Okay, that's good. Anyway, I've got a list of games that I'm going to be printing out and learning to play. But if you have any favorite games that fit the category of free, easy to print, and playable solo, then let me know and maybe I'll play those as well. Bye!
So what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, actually, we have several reviews from Brian Drake, but not a ton more. And again, I'm going to be talking about that later on in the Tom Thinks section. But I do want to take a moment. We've been getting a lot of questions about Dice Tower West and Dice Tower Cruise. Dice Tower Cruise is happening in January, Dice Tower West in February. And what is the status quo of both of those, considering everything else that's going on? Well, the answer is both of them are on as of this moment. That is not to say that we won't or aren't thinking about making some changes in that regard. But unfortunately, it's still too far away for us to make any definitive decisions. But it is something that we are monitoring day by day. I promise you, Jason with the cruise and Tim with Dice Tower West, we have meetings about it. We're constantly talking about it. When we know, you'll know, okay? So we are making decisions. Do we need to modify them? Do we need to change them, postpone them, cancel them? Whatever, it is still basically up in the air. So just keep that in mind as we progress through. You know, this week was the week of the Dice Tower Retreat, which we had to cancel and postpone till 2021. Not something I'm super thrilled about, but it is something that is happening all over the world, and I guess I can't complain about something like that when other people have much more important and worse things that happen to them. But anyhow, with that being said, we do have a huge back catalog of things for you to watch, and of course, podcasts going up. Me and Eric talk about our favorite games that start with the letter S. Guess what? I don't have any game that starts with Star Wars in there. Can you believe that? Check out that's going up this Tuesday. Anyhow, you can find out all the other podcasts and the Dice Tower Network on our channel there. But let's keep moving.
Ah, yes, the standee. So much more exciting than its flat, plain counterpart, the token. And yet, turn it a little bit, and it's like it doesn't exist at all. And yeah, it can't compete with the 3D-ness of a plastic miniature. But yet, there's something so nice about not having to open a box to the little faces of unpainted miniatures glaring at you, judging you for not painting them. So, on today's episode of Upgrade DIY, we're going to make 3 different types of custom standees. Okay, this is a very simple one today. So if you want to make a standee of an existing character, then start by finding the image online, copy and paste the image into a drawing program like Google Drawings, then scale the image to the size you need. Draw a box around your image and then mirror the image vertically in a line underneath. Print out this image and then glue it onto some cereal box cardboard using a glue stick or spray glue if you have it. Using a knife, cut a rough box around your artwork. Then cut exactly along the mirror line. Glue one piece to another layer of cardboard, trim off the extra, then glue on the back piece. Once the glue has dried, using a sharp knife, cut out the standee. Don't try to cut curved inside corners, it won't look clean. Just do straight lines and a simple shape and you're done. But another option is to take a photo of someone to use as a character in the game. Try to find a location that has a plain background. Add a light from behind as well to help the subject stand out. Download your photo, then follow the same steps as before. But another option is you can draw your own character. First, do your illustration on a piece of cardstock in pencil. Then fold inwards along your ground line and rub the paper to transfer the pencil to the other side. Finish up your drawing on both halves, then glue to the cardboard and carry out the same steps as before. But if you want to enhance your standee even further, I provided templates for a version with a moving mouth. Wait, what? These are not useful upgrades. I didn't say they were going to be useful, I said they were going to be silly.
Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Clara and I'm back talking about another board game that I haven't played but I really want to try. And yes, my microphone arrangement is growing. Hopefully my sound quality is improving. I'm working on it, so do let me know. So last week I talked about one of my favourite games, which is 51st State, and it's basically an engine building resource management game. Another game that I really enjoy is Energy Empire. So this again has resource management, but it also has worker placement aspect. But you don't automatically get those resources. You've got to roll dice to see what you're going to get. And that's really cool. Now, if I could take resource management and worker placement and a bit of dice rolling and add in a cooperative nature, on paper, we should have one of my favourite games. And Z Garcia has been talking a lot about a game called Atlantis Rising, and I realised recently that's the game. That's the game that should be at the top of my list. So it's a worker placement. You put your workers out and you use that to gain resources. However, you don't automatically get them. You've got to roll dice to see whether you get them. But you can mitigate that with your resource management. The spaces where you put your players out is going to change as the board sinks because this is Atlantis. So you can't always put your players in the same places. And then there's other things like special powers and gaining certain abilities. But the main thing that you want to do is collect resources so you can build components. And these components go on a side board. And once you and your colleagues have built all of the components for this board, you win. You escape Atlantis. So you've got to work together. You've got to solve the puzzle together in a kind of pandemic kind of way. On paper, this should be, like I say, on paper, this should already be in my collection, and if I could afford it, it would be. Maybe I should splurge on my next wage. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, bye!
Hey everybody, when the quarantine started here, I determined that the Dice Tower was going to push forward and we were going to have as much content as we possibly could. We started daily chats that people could do, which we've now morphed into No Strings Attached, where we play games at night. We have been doing, we've been putting out videos full blast throughout the time. Sometimes our convention schedule messes that up, and we didn't have a convention schedule this year, so we've been just putting out a lot of videos. I've tried to increase both the amount of videos we put out. We put out more top 10 lists this year than we've ever done before. I'm just really pushing in that regard. But there comes a point where I want to do as much content for you as I possibly can, but I want to make sure it's good too. And there comes a point where we just cannot push ourselves past the breaking point. I need a bit of a break once in a while, and more importantly than that, my staff needs a bit of a break. I can record a ton of videos, but that someone else has to edit them. I could say, you know what, I'm not tired at all, but other people are. So we're going to be starting to take a philosophy where once every couple months or so, we're going to take a week off. Not because we want to cut you all on content. In fact, add up all the videos over the course of the year, and I still think 2020 will have more videos than 2019, for sure. It might already, for all I know. But we need to recharge our batteries, and we need to not overwork ourselves to death to some degree. I'm not too concerned you have thousands of videos to go back and watch. I know that some people look forward to the live stuff, but that will be back the following weekend. We'll be ready to go and talking about more stuff. And it's not like nothing will go up. Brian Drake and Ambie and a few others will be putting up videos over the course of the week, so there will be some new videos. It just won't be our full smorgasbord of content that's out there. And so I'm not here necessarily to apologize about that. I think we've been giving a lot of cool, good content. I hope. I know people some people don't like it and all, but I hope you're enjoying it. And I promise you when we get back, it's going to be even more so. I got some really awesome things and really cool games to talk about. I hope you've been enjoying our 4-way reviews. We're trying to do one of those a week at this point so that you can get kind of 4 different opinions on a game. We're going to, crowd surfing is now weekly. Board Game Breakfast, we've added Stephen Balancor. I hope you've been enjoying that. And our goal is just to consistently make everything better and better and better and better. But to make things better, every once in a while we need to stop so we could take a break and move on to the next things. So that's what's happening this week. And so we'll be back full force a week from today. And like I said, there's plenty of videos for you to watch. And if not, and even if that's not enough for you, there's a lot of other great video channels out there too that you can keep an eye on too. But come back to us in a week. So that's what I'm thinking about this time. This time we need to take a break.
A game that is fiddly is a game in which it requires a lot of manipulation of the game components throughout the game. So a game that I often think as fiddly is Agricola, and this is one of my favorite games, but it does have a lot of components at the table that you are doing a lot of kind of upkeep and a lot of manipulating with it. So maybe you have your wooden house and you update it to a clay house, then you have to flip that over and then you update it to this and you have to replace that with another one. You're going to be putting more wood and more stone and more sheep in your pens and different things like that. There's a lot of manipulation to the pieces on the board. Fiddliness is not necessarily a bad thing. Some people might think of it that way, but it's really just the level of manipulation that is happening of the pieces on the board throughout the game. Upkeep is kind of the amount of changes that are happening throughout the game that keeps the game going. It could be something as simple as in Ticket to Ride, whenever somebody takes one of the cards, one of the train cards, you replace it with another card. That is a very small idea of what upkeep is. You're flipping over that card to keep the game going. In a game like Power Grid, there's going to be a lot of upkeep between the rounds. There's a chart on the back of the rulebook that you're going to have to refer to as you are adding the resources to the market, and that can be a bit of a process. There could be a lot of upkeep with that. So a game that has upkeep or has a lot of upkeep is a game that's going to have a lot of those times in the game where you are adding things, removing things, changing things to the board when it's not necessarily your turn. That's it.
Brandy and Ellen, we game together.
Can we play now?
Yes.
Hi guys, I am Randy.
I'm Ellen, where we game together.
And today we are continuing our series of games that got us into the hobby. And
Yes,
the next one we bought was a expansion.
It was.
Carcassonne Inns and Cathedrals on 5/27
and
of
it's
2015.
funny because 2015, 5 years ago, I'm like, I don't remember how I felt about it, but this tells me that I obviously loved the game because we don't get expansions for games unless we really like it.
Yeah.
But then we actually did play this, 2 months ago?
Yeah, we played
And I was
Carcassonne
like,
with a
dang.
few expansions. Yeah,
It was
exactly.
fun.
And
It's a good game.
Carcassonne, I think we touched on it when we first talked about Carcassonne, but yeah, it's a great tile-laying game, even to today. I can definitely recommend this
Classic.
to anyone currently.
Yeah.
And the Inns and Cathedrals added, basically, you get 3 points per city if it's complete, and then 2 points per road tile if you have an inn on them.
Right.
So, and it added, I think it adds another player even.
count, yeah.
That's definitely a great expansion, especially for a first-time expansion to Carcassonne
Yeah.
if you are broadening
show.
Carcassonne line.
Next was Wits and Wagers at 5/31/2015.
Yeah, they're coming hot and heavy now. This
Yeah.
every couple days.
Oh my gosh! I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, there's the rest of the list here is kind of days and days. But Wits and Wagers was again continuing the kind of party-ish,
Yeah.
lighter games thing. Wits and Wagers, I actually think I heard about Wits and Wagers from Dice Tower, I think.
Oh, really?
And that's a great party game.
Oh, it is.
really
Wits and
is.
Wagers stands the test of time. Actually, Tom played it with like the entire group of people before the cruise, like before we went on the Dice Tower cruise.
You really can have any number of people on
Right.
each team,
Yeah.
and I think it comes with, I want to say, 7 teams or something like that.
Something like that.
So tons of people. You can play with a whole crowd. You don't really need much of a table space.
Right.
The Vegas one is really cool, but otherwise the standard, Wits and Wagers is fun as well.
Yeah. We
That's a
recommend
great
both
party
games.
game. Yeah. So
5 years later.
yeah, I think they still hold up for sure. But we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Don't forget, Tammany Hall coming out this week from Pandasaurus. And we have a contest. Check out the beginning of the episode to see how you can enter. Alrighty, well, I'm done recording this. I'm ready to go. I'm going to take a few days off. Then I'm going to be playing some games and getting ready for next week. And we'll be back full bore. So we'll see you then. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching the Dice Tower. You're the best audience that there is. I love you all. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.